Hello and welcome to episode 21 of the Take a Pull podcast with Andy Cummins and Declan Carroll. We are back again to cover another Clonmel Thursday. Dec, how are you?
Good. Looking forward to this one. It's our sort of card. There's a couple of ordinary maidens in there, but we start and end with handicap. So
Lovely. That's the way we like to do it.
That's it. And we even have a maiden hunter chase in here that we both have a strong fancy on. So.
Yeah, we had to pull out the point-to-point book for I think the first time on this show. I think it's the first time we've had to pull out the point-to-point book. It only took 21 episodes, but we got there in the end. It'll happen a lot more now as we come into the spring months as well. The hunter chases tend to get going a lot more. Top 20, bittersweet. Obviously, the Naas top third in place. A lot of our followers got on at juicy prices, but unfortunately, the fog and the weather didn't play its part. It's just unfortunate, really, is because he's going to open up on Friday. I would imagine somewhere between 4 and 5 to 1. Some of our listeners getting on, and you as well. I think they're getting on at 14s.
Yeah, nice. I got on at 14s. I also got on Ballycallan King at 33s, and he was 9s and they cancelled. So I won't be getting those prices again. But I felt sorry for them because, like as we said last week, it's such a good race course, and like they do put on, like they do so much to get people through the gates, and they actually they gave us the tickets to give away, and they actually gave me a book as well for their centenary. So it's
lovely.
A whopper of a yoke. It is a really, really nice book. I had a quick squint through it. It looks very, very interesting. So I am looking forward to getting into it. Look, it's free in on Friday. I've taken the day off work, so I'm going to head down, and hopefully they are rewarded for getting people through the gates. And people spend a few bob when they're in there. I don't know. There might be. I don't know what way hospitality went, but like it'd be a shame thing with so much food wasted, or if people hung around and did have a bite there. I hope they did. We went back in and had a pint because the car park was jammer. So it was just unfortunate, but you could not see a thing. It was really bad. It was a great day for in running betting. If you could get out to the track or even down to the last fence, it was perfect because I think Brandy Love was long odds on until the winner just appeared.
Until they came up the home straight.
And the winner appeared and went by the line like a sprinter. So you'd have to wonder to go around at all.
It was very unfortunate, but the aspirations that the owners the managers of Naas Racecourse have, they will get there in the end, and hopefully they are rewarded with a nice crowd on the Friday as well, which they very much do deserve, and they're going to still get a fantastic Lawlers of Naas regardless, and that field's still looking strong. And we could have the addition of
the novice chase looks like it could improve because Blood Destiny's in there as well.
The addition of Blood Destiny, that looks very good, and not to 95 as well, just to add in to boot, which is lovely.
But I think you've done that for us.
Yeah, exactly. Well, top 20 is still going to have a bit of shelf life, so if anybody does want some tips for Naas, a lot of the initial entries look very, very similar. So go back and have a listen. You'll still find a few tips.
Probably won't get to cover it, but I think we'll throw our thoughts up on the extra race, will we?
We'll pop them up online. 100%. So on to the first race then, Dec, which is a handicap chase. Very rare enough. We open up with a handicap chase. We got the odd one at Christmas time. Limerick had a veterans handicap chase, and Leopardstown had one on the 29th, but we do seldom enough get a handicap chase to open a card. It's the Josephstown handicap chase, not 109, over 2 miles, and a horse that we talked extensively about on the Christmas podcast, Jump the Shark, declared here for JP McManus. Gavin Cromwell trains, Mark Walsh taking the ride. A horse who was beaten into different time zones in his 3 runs over fences, but like the kind of shrewd trainers that they are, he ran in all the right races behind Facile Vega, behind Corbett's Cross, behind Safluar. He's been given a mark, Deck, £7 below his hurdles mark of 104, in which he was placed off marks in the low 100s over hurdles. Starts life in handicap chases off just 97. Has he shown you enough to take a chance on handicap debut, especially with Gavin Cromwell having a horse that you tipped up on the podcast a few a few weeks ago in the shape of Money Heist in here as well, who's looking to double up.
Well, look, although, like, as we said to each other before we come on, he didn't win over hurdles, and
No.
we do prefer to see them win over hurdles, but he was half a length second in a handicap hurdle of 101. He was fourth in Mark Waltrod of 104. So, like, he might be just taking a little bit of time as well, but you know, you'd have to follow the rule of thumb and have a go here. With Money Heist, I know you do like Money Heist again, but horse at this level, they're only so good. So he's 1/97, he's up to 106. Now, I did like the three behind him as well, and one of them is in here, Prince of Air. He was fourth that day. I do think he has one in him, but I don't think it's today. And you think it'll be when he steps up and trip. And obviously he went into the Tap Tracker along with the third Mallows Cove, and Katie's Hill, I think, was the Philip Dempsey horse that was second. That's one I'm really looking forward to seeing. But I will be taking Money Heist down with Jump the Shark, because of he looks so well handicapped. I know he didn't win over hurdles, but he still looks so well handicapped on those two runs of 101 and 104. So I would be I would be keen. I know Money Heist is going to be an edge. I just think it can be so hard for them at this level to follow up when they come out of the division.
Yeah.
You know, it does get harder for them, although most of them are, you know, still in the lower division. But yeah, it'll be jump. Look, and while I might be keen on a few tonight, I just think it's worth pointing out that the ground could be horrendous on Thursday.
It could.
And just be careful, because when it turned really, really bad, and I think our worst days have come and the ground has been deplorable, really, and it's just worth keeping an eye on. Clonmel can get really, really heavy, so
get tough.
There was no. Well, I drove to Limerick today, so it was very cold, but there was no rain. So hopefully it gets a bit better. But if that loss is getting into the ground and it's cold again tonight, it could be very, very testing on Thursday. So just, you know, I'd be having a bet, but I'd be going easy purely for that reason.
Yeah, well, you can rest assured that the career best from Jump the Shark was on heavy ground at Cork. So you would have thought that as testing as it gets, he should be fine. The only thing I found it difficult about Jump the Shark as well, when you actually watch his races back, the cameraman usually does a real good job at showing every horse in the race jumping its hurdle or its fence, which is usually invaluable to us.
Yeah,
but in two of the races, in two of the races, and more so behind Hunter's Yarn, like, for all we know, like he could, like, Mark Walcher, whoever was riding, it wasn't Mark Walcher. I don't think. I think actually might have been Keith Donoghue. I think Keith Donoghue rode it. Yeah. Keith Donoghue, for all we know, could have got off the horse, jumped the fence himself, and whistled the horse to jump over and got back on, for all we know. So it was very.
We need tellies, don't we?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we need a big curve shape thing. Yeah. He was difficult to assess the last two times. The in-running comments don't help. They just say in rear throughout, we're always behind the last twice. So, like, they don't even tell you how he jumped. I would give him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm just a little bit. I've enough reservations. I think the difference between him and Verdun Place is we know Verdun Place was a competent jumper, and we know Verdun Place had
aggressive as well. Like, you know, improving so much over hurdles.
He looked like a Saturday handicapper. That was off 100 and 100 odd, 114 or whatever it was. This lad we just don't quite know enough about, and with Keith Donoghue jumping ship, which isn't really a big negative at all, because Mark Walsh is obviously the retained rider for JP McManus, but he does take the ride on Money Heist, who is very, very slightly up in grade. He won in a 0 to 102 bracket at Naas. He's up to a 0 to 109 bracket in his top weight, but there's only two horses, and one of them is himself, that is over the 102 bracket in this race.
Yeah, and he won. 109 horse in here who would be.
There's no 109. It's weak for the grade, basically.
Yeah.
And he was so well backed and he jumped well, and Keith Donoghue gave him that kind of stylish, only doing what he had to do type of ride. And despite the weight, the rise in weights, I think he's still the one they have to beat personally here. So I'm going to stick actually with Money Heist. As I said, we both were a fan of the race at Naas. Like we mentioned, we put horses into the top tracker. One of which the Rothwell horse that you mentioned there, Dec, Prince of Air, who you correctly said is in our top tracker, but I want to see him up to 2.5 miles before I'd be backing him. I think Money Heist is the one they have to beat. He probably goes off favourite, even with Jump the Shark in here. Cromwell does hold all the cards, but I will be sticking with Money Heist, and you're on Jump the Shark, is it?
I am on Jump the Shark, and look, that's it's very fair what you said about Money Heist, and it is weak for the grade. There is no better horses than him in here, so I can see where you're coming from, but Jump the Shark does look to be well handicapped, and
he does.
He should
it just makes you laugh, doesn't it, when you say something like that? I don't know what it is. Just something about you just chuckle to yourself. Yeah, we'll see how he goes, but it's for me, it's the most interesting race on the whole card. Just with the horses that Gavin Cromwell have in it. It's mad that we're calling it not 109 the most interesting race on the card, but that's the life of the Top Podcast. Moving on to the 1 o'clock then, Dec, the Rathronan Maiden Hunter's Chase. Wow, didn't think we'd be covering it. I think we must be the only podcast ever that's covered a Maiden Hunter's Chase. Surely, I can't believe this is happening. But anyway, this for horses that have never won under rules. They may have won in the point-to-point field. A lot of them with a wealth of experience. You said that the Tissue Price are going to have Ringcraft as favourite for Rob James, Gordon Elliott. But we both fancy the same horse here, and I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, it was the Sam Curling horse, Miners Bridge, that we both came down on. Derek O'Connor takes the ride, and that's another good pointer. He won a 5-year-old maiden that built it, and the second actually followed up at the same track. It was Electric Dreamer, who was also in here. The 7-year-old, he was the one that was standing out to me. Casey West was second to Romeo Magico at Limerick over Christmas, and a good few of these were in behind, so he would have a lot of them covered. And Ringcraft, Rob James takes the ride for Gordon Elliott. He was second on his only start at Tinnahealy. The horse that won it was sold to Britain, but I don't think it's ran around New Oxford a few times and not won. But yeah, it was. I thought Miners Bridge was standing out. Look, let's be honest, we don't know loads about the form, but Electric Dreamer has followed up in a point-to-point, so that's where I was going on anyway. Like, I don't know what that form of the Limerick race really is, but Casey West does have a lot of them covered, but I do think Miners Bridge is standing out.
Yeah, I agree. The only reason I wouldn't be really, really giddy on Miners Bridge is I'm not really a point-to-point expert, and B, we mentioned just on the last race the potential of testing ground, which Miners Bridge is completely untried on. But then again, so is the likely favourite Ringcraft. I think the only horse with real decent form and context of this race on heavy ground is the Terence Leonard trained Sam Poet, who won last time out between the sticks on heavy ground. Heavy ground in a point-to-point field can go from anywhere between good to soft to unraceable, so you really don't know.
Yeah. Well, it must have been that day Casey West was second at Limerick, surely.
Casey West?
Yeah, it was Christmas, wasn't it? So.
Oh yeah, but fair enough, actually.
It was borderline unraceable, I'm sure. In England,
yeah,
it off.
Yeah, exactly. So no, yeah, that's actually a fair point. Yeah, Casey. Yeah, Casey West and Sam Poet with the kind of heavy ground form, Ringcraft with the kind of trainer profile, and then Derek O'Connor riding for a prolific point trainer and hunter trainer as well, and Sam Curling. So a few options there. Miners Bridge is going to be my one. I don't know if we can make a Maiden Hunter's Chase selection, the nap at the tap, but it is one we both like, I suppose.
Yeah, it could end up the nap at the top at the end of this.
It depends on the price that we do get, but yeah, no, as you said, the Tissue prices are quite favourable looking. So yeah, it'd be definitely one that should be hitting the frame at the bare minimum, assuming that he does handle the ground. On next to the Munster Hurdle over 2 miles, a quintet here, and this is a race that could be run at a complete frantic gallop despite only the 5 runners. Dying to win. She only knows one way of going about it from the front. Westport Cove set a borderline irresponsible gallop in the Grade 1 at Christmas and pulled up before the home turn. So those two could go at it quite hard. Tactical Affair, quite a bourbon, whose form, do you want to say it was boosted? I know D'Art won the Maiden, who finished 7th, but the Liz Doyle horse that we both put up, who was 3rd, was run poorly. So I suppose you can argue the form is boosted. You can argue it wasn't. It depends what way you want to look at it. Tactical Affair, who ran behind Elixir Dene, who came back from the dead to win earlier there in December. And then Action Motion, who you would say has it all to do, carrying 11 stone 12 and only rated 113. Where are you going here, Dec?
Well, it was with the Josephstown horse that created the bourbon. Look, we did say that could be quite a hot maiden at Naas, and I know Will Wilde did let the form down, but the art, I thought, like you said, you thought that horse had a really big engine, and I think you really showed it, because I think the two of them went a bit of a silly gallop on the ground on Saturday, but he stayed there and he won, and
won well as well.
He won well, and I fully agree with you now. Like I was giving him, I was probably a little bit harsh on him, but I definitely agree with you now that he has a massive engine, because I do think the two of them went, they took each other on, and they went too hard, and Will Boyle paid the price, but the art won really well. So I do like kind of bourbon here, but like, this is not a race I'll be getting involved in at all. It's strange for them, to be just turning up in a conditions hurdle, isn't it? After winning a maiden like that,
it's very rare. It's one of the only opportunities that a maiden hurdle winner really has without either A, going into a handicap off a silly mark, or B, going into a graded race. So it's a welcome race in the schedule, but the reason they're not in the schedule is because you only get 5 runners. It's a weird one.
It's on its, normally you have the likes of Cashback turning up in one of these, or
just to cut you off there, Dec, sorry, did Gaelic Warrior win this last year before he won the Liffey?
I don't know.
I'll double check that, but anyway, go on.
Yeah, Westport Cove was pulled up in the Grade 1 at Leopardstown, but like I'd say a lot of them are pulled up that day when they or didn't perform. The ground was very, very heavy. Like, see, we like Daddy Longlegs, and I'm not sure if he finished. He was a maiden winner at Torres before that, and Tactical Affair, he was 9 lengths off Elixir Dene last day. He was a maiden winner as well. I won't be having a bet in the race, but I would expect Quay the Bourbon to be winning this.
Okay. Well, yeah, I looked it up there. Gaelic Warrior beat Blue Sari in this race last year by 15 lengths. So, a bit of a... there you go. So, it can throw up a decent horse, I suppose, even though I think Gaelic Warrior was 14-1 on to win this race last year. I don't think there's any Gaelic Warrior in here this year. Is it a betting heat? Probably not. Is the kind of quickest way to put it. I do, going back to D'Art though, I did text you after it. He would have been within his rights to be pulled up at Naas. Like, he did not jump a twig, and it's a testament to the horse and a testament to the training abilities of Tom Cooper, that the horse just looked like a different proposition at Cork, and I wouldn't be surprised if they aimed him high at the Dublin Racing Festival. If he runs well, great. If not, they can come back for a handicap. Very, very nice horse. I think you should really keep your eye on. Quite a bourbon, probably my selection here as well, but I'd expect him to be odds on. Tactical Affair might keep him honest, but he's no superstar in his own right, and quite a bourbon. As we said, it was a nice maiden hurdle he won at Naas, and if any of these are going to become a graded horse, it's pretty much very likely going to be him, and him only. So I think he's the one that they all have to be. Really did it nicely, as the 11-10 favourite beating Fenway Park. Also worth noting, he was pretty uneasy in the market. He was nearly a shade of 1-2 or 8-15. Returned 11-10. So it is his mark of weakness and winning is always nice to see as well. So yeah, it'd be quite a bourbon for me, but I'd expect him to be odds on to be winning this. It's our first maiden hurdle, I think, Dec. This is quite a difficult one to. Oh no, it's not. The next one I think is difficult. This is actually relatively obvious, I think. Enola, probably likelihood going to be odds on here as well. Excuse me. The Gingren, is it?
The
Gingren, yeah, for Gordon Elliott, Jack Kennedy, and Implicit, who has to bounce back from a poor run at Christmas time at Limerick, which you can always kind of forgive.
She coughed.
Oh, she was coughing. Oh, well, then you have a prayer if you're doing that at Limerick. Was previously behind Farron Glory, albeit beaten a long way. What do you think here, Dec?
Yeah, well, she was beaten 20 lengths by Farron Glory, but, you know, what was he going to beat those horses at entry by?
Yeah, fair enough. Probably a similar distance.
And Power Hour was fourth that day, who ran a really nice race on the 28th. I think he finished fourth on his, I would think was his handicap debut. And you just have to forgive her the Limerick run. I think she's a chance here. I know it was 5 lengths fourth at Tactical Affair at Cork, and the Gingrin was third to Ban Prianza at Tremor.
Ban Prianza, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure how good that form is. I'd have it between with these two. I'd be siding with Implicit, and I think she'd be a bit of value. Because of that result at Limerick, but you just have to put a run through it. Like, my thoughts on the Farron Glory form, and I was happy to see Power Hour run a nice race at Leopardstown, so I'd give her another chance here.
Fair enough. What put me off her is if she was coughing, I would wonder if she missed work. Because obviously coughing, it's almost like it's just like a common cold. Usually, it's usually nothing too serious, but it can cause a horse to miss a couple days' work. Now that would have been, I think it's 12 days since she was reported to be coughing after a bad run. So, it'd be 2 weeks by the time we come back. It'd be exactly 2 weeks by the time they race. It's 12 days to today, as of recording. So, I just have a slight worry that on this heavy ground, and if she missed work, that would just be my slight worry. Am I going to be back in the other one though with Paul Townend up behind Tactical Affair? Look, you wouldn't be screaming that form from the rooftops, I wouldn't say. Even in a weak enough race like this, so I'll be sitting on the fence. Hopefully Implicit wins for you. I can definitely see the case for her, especially if you really like Farron Glory. But I would just be worried that if she was pulled up coughing 2 weeks ago, would she be at her best?
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I don't know if she'd missed work. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's fair enough. Yeah,
it's well worth forgiving, and the Farron Glory form I really, really like. And as I said, was happy to see Power Hour run a nice race, and I do think he's a day in him soon enough. But I'd give her a go Implicit here.
Happy days. Moving on to the next maiden hurdle then at 2:45, Dec.
Did you think this was an interesting one? I thought this was very, very obvious.
Oh, you thought? I thought this one was a little bit, possibly a little. Well, I suppose there's Surf Club. Who else is we have in here? Jimmy Desai. He's gone probably. Is it Jimmy Desai is the one is the way you're going? Is it?
Yeah. I didn't think there was. I think there was much about the rest of them, and like he was second on debut to Asian Master, a stablemate of his, and I can't remember the young fella who rode.
It was Costello's young fella, Tommy, is it? Tommy Costello?
Right. I just think the horse going to improve and beat this field. I don't think there's much in it at all. I think this is fairly obvious, but I'm interested to hear what you think.
Well, to be honest, Jimmy Desai, he was like he is by Galloway, who can get, obviously he got Seal Away, he can get the odd heavy ground lovers. Obviously he got Vauban as well. I don't know. There was something about him that just, it's almost like he didn't want to go through with it or something at when he was beat the last day. It was Thurles, wasn't it?
It was at Thurles, yeah. But like that was his debut in Ireland. And
yeah, no, that's understandable. Surf Club was a beaten favourite at Downpatrick with Jody Townend up. But he did look like a horse that you kind of needed a fence or hurdle yesterday. And he's already an 8-year-old. So I thought they want to need to get it rolling with him. It'd be kind of similar to you. I'd be interested to see how he gets on with Sean O'Keefe up. Poor old Malcolm Denmark just doesn't get very lucky with his horses, does he? Like he gets the odd good one, and then they just get injured. And it looks like Surf Club comes off the same bat, only having the second start of his life as an 8-year-old. But look, he does get his odd winners. Yeah, I suppose I don't really have too much of an opinion, Dec. I just thought that Jimmy Desai might have been a little bit vulnerable, given the way he kind of performed at Thurles, the way he just didn't want to really go through with it. But then you do look through the field, and is there anything that is going to get him off the bridle? Maybe Philip Fenton's horse, Pirate Island, but again, he didn't run the strongest maiden you'll ever see at Limerick, beaten by Bingeworthy. Was a big price though, and he came from a quite an unpromising position, so he is probably a nice horse. Obviously fell, so hasn't got his handicap mark yet. Would they go for this? I don't know. I really don't know. But it is a race that he could just kind of fall in. So I'd be wondering if he's ridden a bit more prominently, could he have a little say? But he is probably more of a handicap project. So yeah, you are probably fair, Dec, by process of elimination. Willie Mullins is probably going to have the winner here, but I wouldn't mind keeping an eye on Fenton's horse.
I just as in a maiden, I just think the horse got to improve from his debut in Ireland, and he'll just be better than days. And he's not a bet now. I'd say he'll be long odds on.
Yeah, no, he probably will be. Moving on then to the 320, the Listrunner handicap hurdle. Dec, you were very much looking forward to covering this race. This is the one I think that you were really chomping at the bit for. So yeah, no, do take it away. Who do you like here?
Look, it's. I don't think I think that these two handicaps are probably poor enough. Yeah, they're poor. Is this a 0 to 95? Is it?
It's 80 to 95. Yeah.
Yes, like they should be poor, but you know what I mean. I'm not as excited about these two as we are most weeks. But I'm willing to give Robert Toyners a chance, and like she's in here off 86. It's a hard one to judge because she's never been off, and she wasn't off in her handicap debut at Thurles. And you are taking the chance. You know, is she just bad? You know, she never going to be up to it, or if she's off on Thursday, does she just beat a really poor field here? And the fact that she's trained by Robert Toyner, who he's more than capable, that's what makes me think that she is going to improve for the application of cash, hopefully. Like, other than that, Beaverstown Place, like she wasn't be far in the maiden here, but I just think she's, when you're not be far in the maiden, the handicapper can get a hold of you, and you'll be vulnerable to one. And not to get away, it could be well worth forgiving the run at Limerick, and possibly has a chance then. But I just think it's a poorer race. There's not as much lurking in this as we'd see most weeks, and I think on the banks is going to be a massive price because the form is really, really poor. Like it's way down the field every time, but she's never been off either. So I would be expecting her to improve on Thursday. It's a good opportunity, I think, this race, because it's not great, and
something has to win.
Something has to win, and it's a difficult one. Look, Beaverstown Place and not to get away are probably the dangers, in my opinion. But you know, if On the Banks is suddenly trying on Thursday, I do think she could take this, and I'd say she's going to open massive odds because, as I said, like she's finished way down the field. She hasn't shown glimpses of much at all. But she probably hasn't been asked to.
No, probably not. You said Beaverstown Place, and who was the other one as the a nod to get away. Yeah, another race we covered at Naas Dec was when our nap of the tap, I think, was beaten by a 50-1 shot, Cristiano Meraldo, if you remember that, Philip Rothwell. Yeah, Poppy Rose. Yeah, so third that day, and running on in eye-catching enough fashion, was Chosen Shant, who was 50-1 that day as well. Was beaten 3 lengths, but came from quite an unpromising position. Now, in fairness, Cristiano Ronaldo also came from the back as well. It was a race where the pace didn't necessarily hold up. And
I think the Mick Winters horse was in that as well. Juno might have ran on.
Yeah, so they ran on. It just kind of shows you, Poppy Rose, how well she ran, because she had to hold off the ones up the front, and then she tried to hold off the closers, and which she did.
Gone up another £4 in England.
Oh yeah, of course, 100%
for being beaten.
For looking at the handicapper funny. But Chosen Shant, who is a 7-year-old, seemed to be okay on testing ground at Naas, although this admittedly will be a bit more testing. Comes here off 85. If she can improve again, which is far from guaranteed, because she is an 8-year-old, she is rated 85. She's had a lot of starts, but she has only had 3 starts for Kieran Murphy, and this was her best start for Kieran Murphy. She's never won a race, but has been placed on a mark of 100 in the UK. Now, for context, 85 in the UK will probably get you around 92, 93, and maybe a little bit less. Usually, as the lower you go in grade, the more weight you do get. She'd be around somewhere between probably 89 to 92, 93 sort in the UK. So she is definitely lower than when she was performing well earlier in her career. But it was that run that kind of, I thought, gave you hope. So it would be Chosen Shant for me, but I couldn't call it a very confident selection by any means. And if you wanted to have a roll of the dice on Tyners, I wouldn't put anybody off.
I do think it's poor, and there's not many looking. Normally we have big dangers, but even the 2 Beaverstown Place and the Not to Get Away, I think if she beats them, she wins. But they're not jumping off the page either. No. So I don't think there's much to beat. So if she improves, I think she could take this at a big price.
Very, very good. Moving on to the last race then, Dec, the Tipperary handicap hurdle. This is an 80 to 102 bracket, over just shy of 2.5 miles. Again, not really the greatest race we'll ever cover on this show, but was there anything that was sticking out to you here?
I ended up, there was 4 of them I liked, but I ended up siding with Carla's Big Jim, who was trained by your friend, Mr. Archdeacon, who had a winner recently over Christmas.
Fair play to him.
I think it was over Christmas. It might have been the horse you tipped up. Was it another O'Cana? I can't remember the horse you tipped up.
Was it another O'Cana? I didn't even put that in the tracker. It was beaten out of sight. My God, it wasn't all. Oh my God, 9 to 1. I didn't even see that. Right, it ran she was beaten out of sight, wasn't she? When I backed her, I think it was Punchestown. She was beaten 41 lengths. I'm just looking now. Then beaten Limerick. Hunting Brook won that day,
right?
And then she ran at Limerick, beaten 30 lengths, and then she wins at 9 to 1. It looks like they came for her both times at Limerick. I'll remember Archdeacon at Limerick for next year. I will not forget that. 100% of his horses run into form in the last 14 days as well. So that's
but there you are. Carla's Big Jim. He had a handicap run before he went back into maidens. He was 5th in the maiden, and then he was 2nd in the maiden. He might be ready now after that. He's, sometimes they're not quite ready, and then suddenly they look like a winner of Maiden, and I think he fits that profile. Not normally the profile we're looking at, but he has had his handicap run, and he's ran well in maidens now. I know I've said a few minutes ago the handicapper can get you, but again, like I was struggling with this race. The other three I'd given an outside chance to. I'm for home. The penny is starting to drop, but I'm for home as well. Second to last day at Limerick, could have won in them soon. Moonlight Getaway. It's had 2 handicap runs, but like hasn't looked off yet. But he's been off since April, so he might just take a run, and it might be the next day for him. And Sea Road Phil, he was third in his handicap debut. If you can forgive the second at Navan, then the time after that he could have a chance here, but it's hard to know. Like, you know what I mean?
Ground concerns there possibly as well.
Yeah, you know, I think was it heavy that day at Navan?
Yeah, he was well beaten.
September or something, I think. But look, I was struggling with this one, but Carla's Big Jim looks to be hitting a bit of more form than anything else in the race, and I don't really think there's anything lurking what we're normally looking for, so I'd give him a go.
Yeah, the one I was nearly going to come down on was the mare Little Token, but she was pulled up in this race last year off 93. She's running off 88. 2 starts later at Limerick, she ran quite well. Now, the difference between this year and last year is she's actually had a warm-up, if you can say it, 47 days ago, probably not, in a point-to-point. I'd be interested to see how
you got the point-to-point form book out again.
Got the point-to-point form book out again, yeah. So I'd be interested to see I'd be interested to see how she goes with a view to the next day. Because obviously, if she went well at Limerick at the end of January, they might try and go back there. Trainers are a creature of habit. Sea Road Phil was the one I was showing the most interest in, but I couldn't bring myself to be confident enough on this ground. It was actually yielding ground at Navan, but it was a slightly worse race. This was I think this was an 80 to, I think it's a similar enough race actually. I think it was they're both 80 to 102s. But again, as you said, you have to forgive that race. He has had a bit of a break, 117 days off the track, and he has gone well fresh off similar breaks in the past. Obviously second at Sligo in August off a relatively similar, I think it was a 90 odd day break at Sligo. So if he's freshened up, that could be the play. But the reason I couldn't be confident in him, or really confident in him, is just that really, really testing ground. But he would be my tentative selection if I did have to pick one. But I'm going to keep a close eye on that mare, Little Token, for maybe a little tilt at Limerick at the end of the month if she was to run better than, just not be pulled up here. Which is not, I'm not asking for a lot here. Just complete the bleeding for us and shape us well for Limerick. But that brings us to an end of the Take a Pull podcast, episode 21. Nice and quick through Clonmel. Anything you want to bring up, Dec, or any bonus content that you may want to bring up, or are you happy enough?
Oh, put me on the spot again. No, look, there's 3 good days racing the weekend. We have Naas, a grade 1 at Naas on Friday. We've the Dan Moore on Saturday, which is worth 100 grand, and then the Moscow Flyer, and is it still called the Killiney?
I'll double check, but I don't know if it's still called the Killiney. It's definitely still called the Moscow Flyer. Looks like we're going to see Mystical Power represent Willie Mullins. It's always take note of the horses Willie Mullins declares in the Moscow Flyer. They're usually his better ones. It's actually the betting better with Sky Bet Novices Chase, so it's not the Killiney anymore. Right. But what a great name! What a great name. Blood Destiny and Mr. Policeman in there, so they're going to be double entered. And of course, Paul Byrne, I know it's not Emmett Mullins, but Meeting of the Waters has an entry there, and I think he's also in the Classic Chase at Warwick. I think that's his preferred option over the 3 mile 5. Spillans Tower got that entry. Didn't I tell you he was going to rock up there?
In which race?
The Killiney. I'm not even going to call it its new name, but Spillans Tower does have
it was run during January,
yeah. Oh yeah. But I'm going to. I think I did tell you that Spillans Tower would be entered there, and it looks like that's where they're going to go with him now. The big question is he off? Can I have the dream? Can I have the dream that he's going to run in the RSA or something? Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah. Look, it's three good days racing. I am going to do my best to get there all 3 days. So I'll be there Friday. I've tickets for Saturday, which I won off someone on Twitter, and Sunday I'd like to get there as well. I'll do my best, and it's January gets a bit of stick, but I think racing in Ireland during January is brilliant, and get you out of the house and keeps you out of the pub, things like that. And I love going racing in January. It's probably the month I get racing most days, and I don't think that the stick it gets is deserved at all. Like we've the TSC's coming up, the Kinloch Bray at Tortoise is coming up. Like there's some cracking racing in January in Ireland, so get out there and get a bit of fresh air and go racing. So I'll try to get there for 3 days. But no, I don't. Will we get one more pod in before the weekend?
Yeah, we'll probably be back Thursday, will we? We'll release one maybe Friday. We'll look at the Dan Moore card and maybe just pick out our interesting entries at Punchestown maybe, and then continue that on Twitter possibly. I think that might be the best way to go.
Elections up and look, are we saying the top of the
nap at the top? Do you want to put the nap at the top? This could be the most disgraceful nap at the top.
Come here, we're full of surprises on here. It's not just all about Northern 95 handicaps. We've got deep into a maiden hunter chase, so I think it has to be the nap at the top. I know everyone was thinking it was going to be Jump the Shark, but like you gave a fair argument for Money Heist earlier, and just with the Robert Turner horse on the banks, she's going to be a big prize. She's worth to go. She's worth a couple of euro each way anyway. But go easy because the ground could be horrendous here on Thursday. Gamble responsibly.
Yeah, that's the big one. Gamble responsibly, because if you don't be gambling responsibly at Clonmel, you're never going to be able to gamble responsibly really anywhere, especially when the ground is this bad. So nap of the tap, as I'm just typing it up for our listeners. Miners Bridge at 1 p.m. Is it 1 p.m.
1 o'clock.
Yeah, add the banner. So there we go. There's the. I'll let you get that ready for next time, and we'll discuss it before we come on. Miners Bridge, nap of the tap, 1 o'clock in the Maiden Hunters Chase for Sam Curling and Derek O'Connor.
There was a couple of questions. Do you want to go through any of them?
I can probably pop through. We're only 40 odd minutes, so I'll go through a very few quick questions as I log into Twitter again. Let me see. Good old Irish NH tip. So this would be Aidan's question. If you Maiden full of JP, Charles Burns, Tony Martin, Dennis Hogan, and Eddie Cowley horses, and you need to have a bet to save your life, who do you trust with your life to be trying, and not the one to have a quiet, or not the horse to have a quiet run? You just look at
JP. The horses do win Maiden, so you'd be hoping there was a weapon in there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd be good. It's JP all day long, all right. Yeah. What price do you think Verdun Place opens up? I think we've already kind of covered that between 4 and 5 to 1. 4 or 5 to 1.
He was 4 to 1 favourite, so
yeah. And then there's the Cromwell horse in the first, the Cromwell horse in the first, Cromwell horse in the first. Okay, so a lot of the listeners back can Jump the Shark already. So he's got if anybody fancies Jump the Shark, just get on early and don't say we didn't tell you that one. A quick one from Adam Gennard. We'll leave with this one. Always interested in people's viewpoints and what they look at that is different to mine. While there may only be one, what are the 3 things you look for in a handicap lot? That's what's the question I'm looking for? It's subjective. Isn't it? Every race is different.
They have to be able to jump.
Yeah. You don't want to see them clattering if you're looking for a chaser, you don't want to see them, you don't want to get a lower handicap mark than your hurdles mark, but they clout every second fence.
Yeah, but look at that thing at Christmas. I don't get it. Couldn't jump and it beat him. But even over hurdles, like they have to be able to jump.
Yeah, younger the better. As well, obviously, it goes without saying. If they're a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old and they're lower than the hurdles mark and they jump around, that's brilliant.
Beating horses is a big
trainer habits as well be another one. If a trainer's targeted a novice at a certain handicap in the past, like for example,
like Mr. Archdeacon.
Like Mr. RHT, of course, yeah, at Limerick. Yeah, there's plenty of ways out there, and just horses that you just see that come through nicely in maiden hurdles or beginners chases, and they're not usually as hard to find as you think. If you went back, for example, and watched the runs of Attaboy Charlie, now you'd have to be specifically looking at that horse, but it was relatively obvious. And Dec, you've had a few as well. Like you've been lucky with that Fenton horse, at the start of the tap.
See the sunset,
and you nailed one at Downpatrick as well at the very, very start at top as well.
Oh, that was the See the Sunset.
See the sunset. Oh, sorry, yeah. So no, it's subjective though.
Yeah, I think, and Alan made the point last week. It down the grade. Well, we certainly find it easier down the grade. I think up the grade, big handicap hurdles I find quite difficult.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to look at these races that you might never have looked at before because you thought they were whatever. Irish racing has a reputation, but trainers have to survive, and those Irish maidens are ran like that because a lot of those horses can't lay up with what's a potential supreme novices horse up there at the front. So if they did try lay up with them, they wouldn't finish the race. So look, there is a race for most horses. There's a place for them, and it's about getting the mark you can work with and try to take advantage of it. And that's what keeps racing going. It keeps owners interested, and it keeps trainers in business. So that's just the game, and work with it.
That's it. No, couldn't have said it better myself. Right, we'll close top 21 there, Dec. Thank you very much for your time. Clonmel all sorted, and the nap of the top coming, as we said, Miners Bridge in the Maiden Hunter's Chase. Cannot wait to see how he gets on when we record top 22. That's going to be a bit of fun. But until then, guys, thank you very much for listening. Keep liking, sharing, subscribing, and all the best. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.